Good morning. Today is the 23rd of October 2024 and I'm going to go through my trading watch list for today. Before we start, let's look to see what news could move the market. We've got existing home sales coming out at 10. We've got a Fed speaking right now. I've got some oil and another Fed speaker at 12, so just be wary of those times today. On my screen we are looking at the ES, which is the 1 hour time frame. This is the S&P 500 E-mini futures, and pretty much got similar levels we've been watching for. And one thing to note is we have this level going across here, and we have a bit of a trend line coming across over this direction and like that. And we could probably draw in several trend lines. Some more of a, and then let's link these together. So that's a trend line. So all this area kind of all intercepts each other. So it looks like we could have a potential area for a bounce. And one area I'm watching for is this region here around 558.60, same as yesterday. You can see yesterday in the, was that the pre-market, 8 AM, 9 AM, we came into that level, and I still quite like this area for a bounce. We held it yesterday, we got close to it on Monday, and then last week it was the ceiling, then became the floor. So I'd still quite like this area for a bounce, and we are still in a uptrend, so I do want to just go with the trend where I can. Clear that, and so I really want to try and find long plays, but what we do need to see is some sort of breakout from this region here. So you can see we've got a trend line there as well. We can draw that trend line in, we can draw this trend line in, let's put that back again, something like that. And then what we're looking at is potentially it getting closer and closer, or narrowing and narrowing before we see a breakdown or a break up. So I really want to be on one of those sides when it does break out of this wedge pattern. And at the moment we're looking pretty weak. We had a bit of a sell-off in the pre-market around about 58.82, so I do quite like the break and retest of pre-market low, which will also be that trend line. Again, this trend line is subjective because you could even draw it. Let's just do it on trading view. I think that pivot to that pivot there. So if we link it properly, so we've got a little bit of movement, a bit of space before we break it. So we can watch this area 58.68 pre-market low, yesterday low, for a break and retest short. That's if we want to try and catch it coming back out of that trend line. We can also watch these areas for bounces as well, and we've got this level here to watch for bounce from yesterday. In fact, all of that area. So 58, yeah. So it's a key area. So I think let's just draw in the line on that one as well. Roughly around there. That'll do. And so I'll keep them. So what we're watching for is just a breakdown of this trend line, either to the downside or to the upside. So let's get a better accurate level. So 58.70 is the current pre-market low if we don't go any further. So let's watch for break and retest of that area, 58.68, 58.70, and let's watch pre-market high as well, 58.93, for break and retest of that trend line into 5900 area. And we got yesterday's high, we couldn't get above that, so we could also watch that area. That could be a target, it could also be a break and retest long or an add if we're long. And then we got previous all-time highs up here, previous all-time highs there. We've been holding this level 1, 2, 3 times. We could watch that area for rejection, 59.13 as well, and then all-time highs. If we get over that, then I won't be looking to short it, but I'll be trying to find a pullback and a trend play. and that's it really. Volume, let's go to the daily, look at volume. So still we have below average volume. We're trending up, but under the average volume or the moving average. We are getting to the point where we are in the overbought territory, and funny how we've been overbought, but we've had 3 red days in a row, so potentially a bit of exhaustion up there as well. And also we've had 1, 2 bottom tail candles, and if that's at an end of a trend, then that could be the first sign of weakness, because obviously at one point that was all red, and then we go back. That would have been, let's zoom in a bit. So this candle at one point would have been all red. Let's just change my colour to a rectangle. So at one point that would have looked like that. That's showing weakness, and at one point that would have looked like that. So you could say there's a bottom tail, which shows the strength in buyers. If there was strength in buyers, then why have we got no follow through? We've not been able to get out. Go back to yellow. Why have we not been able to get over these levels? So that's the only areas why I think lack of volume and lack of follow through on these big push-ups has kind of shown us a little bit of exhaustion potentially, or we could just be trending sideways. So I'm keeping an eye on the daily. That's the key area for us to break out of as well, and if we break that, we could be looking to put in new all-time highs. You know, we could just be resting right now and waiting for maybe the 20 to catch up. Oh, I want to bring that down. So this is the blue lines of 20. Maybe we're just waiting for that to catch up before we make another move, or potentially waiting for this 50 moving average to catch up before we make another move. So we could just keep going sideways until that happens. So, but like I said, below average volume, signs of weakness, no follow through. Kind of makes me want to find a maybe a short swing trade short possibly, but I am short still QQQ. We'll go to that in a second. Let's go back to the hourly. Sorry, just a bit distracted. Right. So just to recap the levels for ES today, I'm watching for a break and retest of pre-market low and yesterday's low I meant, and to break down through that trend line. Same for pre-market high, break and retest long. I'll also consider a rejection, 5904, 5900 psychological number. See, we've held it there. Couldn't get past it yesterday, couldn't get past it on, well, we did get past it in the pre-market on Tuesday, but we couldn't yesterday. So keep an eye on 5900, 5905. I like this area for rejection because we've been up there 3 times, maybe a 4th time. But obviously, you notice how the first time we got there, we had this big push down. Second time we got there, a smaller push down. Third time, slightly smaller push down before the, and then we have not gone back up there yet. So just keep an eye on that area, and that's it really. And if we get above this region, then I'll be looking for a long break and retest into new all-time highs. And obviously, we're watching this 58, 55 back for a bounce. Let's look at SPY. On time. SPY is exactly the same. Lost that trend line. This is interesting as well. We had this trend line in place, and then we lost it. Came back, retested it. Came back, retested it again, and we're still below that area. We're below the 50, and we're below all the main move averages apart from the 200. So key areas is yesterday's low. If we can break down through that, we could be challenging the 200 moving average next. Otherwise, we can watch for rejections up in yesterday's high area, and it's a key area as well, like in ES. So 58, 585 area for the rejection, and we can watch for the bounce down here as well. If we're going to keep within this range as well, we've been trading. You can see we've got clear levels in that area, so keep an eye on that area. But what we really want to do, we want to see it break out of these areas or to continue the trend or to create a new trend. SPX, same levels, literally bouncing off those levels, and we barely change these levels sometime. Got this area here, 58.70 for rejection. This is the two main areas we're watching, and we've got a bit of confluence in the middle as well. So these are the three areas to watch right now. We can come back down to where we've sold off since yesterday, so we're probably around that bounce area, probably through that area. So we can watch 58.24 for the bounce, 58.20 and 58.70. And basically, if I'm looking for a long on ES and we're coming into that area, then that would be a better long on ES, rather than if we've broken down, then I'm trying to go long, we'll be going long into overhead resistance potentially. So same levels, nothing's really changed. NQ, I quite like break and retest again of this pre-market low, yesterday low, and that's at near to where we are now, 24.36 and 24.25, that area here for a break and retest short. Or we can watch it for a bounce off this trend line. You know, we could just see it just tighten up before it makes a decision. I also like the break and retest of pre-market high. We would have had to get out of this trend. We did break it yesterday, came back, got back into it again, but 25.42, 25.42, break and retest long. And then if we get back up into this region, which is 26.40, I like it for rejection. Last time we were there, we had this big reaction to it. We've not been back up there since. QQQ, same rejection around at 498 area. Big reaction, not been back since. And then we could draw the trend lines in again. Let's just do that. That's our trend. Let's draw this one in as well, so it's complete. Look at that. So literally is playing that trend at the moment. So we can watch it tighten up and then make a decision. Break and retest over yesterday's high. We'll also be breaking out over this trend line. Or break and retest a pre-market low. Yesterday's low will be breaking down below that trend line. Volume is waning over here as well. So if we do break down, it's on reducing volume. And if we do break out, there's not much volume up here as well. So we could see some decent moves on that. So they're the area levels I'm watching. Crude oil. Don't forget there's news at, I think I said 10:30. 10:30 news, so just keep an eye on crude oil if it in that. So we've had this area we've been watching for some time. It's been basing between these two levels, still has, and then it's finally pushed up, come down, couldn't get to the bottom, pushed up, came down, and broke out, retested, and got up to the next level. Notice how these levels are literally, you can literally play off these levels, and we've barely not touched these levels for a long time. So I like a break and retest of pre-market high over here, back up to the next level, or we can watch for a break and retest of pre-market low to retest this level down at 68.95 again. So we can watch for a bounce at 68.95, break and retest short of 70 area, 70.13, break and retest of 71.41 long into 72, and then we've got 72.80 as a rejection area. Gold, it's been on a bit of a run, having a few pullbacks. Notice here, big volume spike on this day here, big volume spike, potentially showing an end of a trend maybe. Notice last time we came down we had a volume spike, we had a change of trend, so potentially we're seeing something else. So we're volume's reducing now as we're going further up, and then we've taken out that pivot and we're right at a key level right now. So there's an area of confluence, this region here. So I do quite like the break and retest of pre-market low, or even yesterday's low, 27.48, 27.50, to break this trend. Let's just draw the trend line in. It's just a rough trend line, so we can see where we are. We're right at the bottom of that trend line right now. Let's just clear this up. So we're right on the trend line, you know, it's a zone, not a line. So we could see it bounce off here, continue the trend back up. But it's worth keeping an eye on this trend line. If we lose this trend line pre-market low, then I like the rejection. But if we get above, or we can watch for a bounce of this trend line as well. I think that's it really. Still hard to go short, but we are due a bit of a pull out. We've got some distance to go before we get down to the 200, but that's a good bounce area as well. And it's a level, you can see we consolidated at that level, and I think that's a pivot if I go back. Yeah, so we broke through this pivot, and that's at 2700, 2707. We slowed down and pushed back up. So next time it comes back down to that area, I'm looking for a long. And I will put in my alert. So 2713 is my alert area to retest that pivot. And I'm sure if I put volume in that area, I'll probably have a bit of volume. 20-foot update. Volume. There's a bit of a volume shelf there as well, so it's right on the level I just put in as well. So when it gets down into that region, I want to keep an eye on that for a bounce. And we've got more volume down here as well. But this volume shelf, which I always keep an eye on, is actually in line with a level we've been watching as well. So that gives us a little bit more confirmation as well. Okay, next is RTY. So it was area confluence, and we've got this volume shelf. So let's just draw this area in. Watching this region for a bounce, 22, 21, 22, 22. And I think that's about it. Or we can watch for the break and retest if we get above this high, because we are still in a bit of an uptrend. Came out, we've not yet come back down to retest this trend line, nor have we come down to retest these levels since we broke out as well. So I do quite like 22, 22 for the bounce. So let's just put in my alert as well. 22, 23. That alert 22, 25. There we go. That's my alert. And now YM. All showing very toppy patterns as well. You know, this looks like a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. So our averages, we can watch for rejection at 40, basically 43,000 exactly. Nice round number as well. So it comes back up to 43. I quite like the rejection down, and that'll be the break and retest of this head and shoulders pattern, one of my favourite patterns. Or we can wait for it to break over yesterday's high and for it to push up long to retest this top. And I think that's it really. And we've got the levels we watch for bounces at 42,800, 42,600, those areas there. Here we go. So I know I drew this in, but I think at the time I did say we could be setting up a head and shoulders pattern if this is the head. At the time, a few days ago, we were putting in this uptrend. But there we go, we've now completed the head and shoulders pattern. And now let's quickly look at Bitcoin. I'll just look at some order flow. Bitcoin on the daily is better for me. So look at this, we're right into a key area now on Bitcoin. We've broken out over that pivot, and now we're coming back to test it again. So this is a key area. If we lose that area, we can look for a retest of the trend line or the next level, or we can watch for a bounce off this area as well. So are we going to see it break out? We haven't seen it hold above this trend line for some time. A few days back in May, a day back in July, a day back in September, maybe 2 days. And this is the first time we've seen it actually push out harder. Not a great deal of extra volume though, but it's, it's on volume, not as much volume as we had up here. But we've seen decline in volume, which is what you expect on a pullback, and this is decline in volume over a long period of time, over a year almost, 9 months. So 64,000 is a good area to watch for a bounce. Otherwise 70,000 is a good break and retest long, and that gives us a new high for the last couple of months. And that's it really. Let's go back to ES. On the hourly, look at that, we're coming right into that trend line right now. So watching this pre-market low for either a bounce with confirmation or a break and retest short. So the bounce will be higher risk because we're right near it right now. Let's just flick over to order flow to see whether there's anything of interest. So what I'm looking first is for divergence. So we've got cumulative delta decreasing, price decreasing, so that's all in line, that's doing what it should do. Next thing I look at is volume. And I'm looking for green candles. Look at that, it's a green candle, negative volume. There's not much on that green candle. That kind of showed us that we may be seeing a reversal. Anything less than 100 is low volume really. Low volume. Then we had a bit of a push up, but with not a great deal of follow through. And then we had a red, look at this red candle at the top with a positive delta, and then we just sold off. And then interesting, we had just 7 orders there, so that's quite a low amount of volume. I'm just seeing if there's any signs of a reversal where we are, because this is what on our trend line. Until we start seeing green come into here, there's no signs of reversals just yet. And we're looking for, we've got big orders in these regions, so there is a bit of volume coming in right now, so it could show limit orders, bounce for bounces. But what we're looking for is lack of volume back down here to show that there's no more interest, but like that 14. And then we're looking for big buying imbalances. We've got loads of selling imbalances. There's 3 in that one. So we've got 2 there, 1 up there. And we've got 4 in this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to see them close together, 2 or 3 in a row. We've got 2 in this one. We've only got 1 in this one, so not much. Still showing that there's sellers around, but I don't generally look at current prices. And on the 5 minute, this is even stronger here. So we've got 2 imbalances and another 2 up here as well. So this is showing me this is a big selling candle, but it could also be a lot of limit orders and buyers coming in. But it's a negative delta, still showing negative cumulative delta as well, so it still looks weak at the moment. So what we're looking for is a turnaround, so I will keep an eye on that. I'm going to close the stream now, but if you open up the order flow stream, then you may get some clues whether we're going to bounce. And what we're looking for is some big green bars here. Maybe, well, we're still selling off here, so that shows us a bit of a divergence. So buyers are in, cumulative delta, and then suddenly the first few green bars we get here, we should see a big push up in price. And it could also be the other way around as well. We could also see price staying the same, going sideways, and we've got lots of green cumulative delta. It means we're absorbing the price, so either the buyer or the seller is going to win at some point. And if the buyers win, then suddenly we'll see a big push up, and that's what we keep an eye on. Okay, if you like this, don't forget to hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe, and also check out the other stream where the order flows running until the market closes today, and that's this screen over here. Okay, thanks for watching.